Okay, so usually what we start with is that we look at what image is sold, and I've been with the company quite a while, so I do look at the sales in the past 12 months, and then kind of like I know what changed over a period of time. Also, we look at the terms actually typed in to find the images on our website. And then we also look at the wider context, what's happening in advertising and in marketing. And then usually we come up with some broad topics that we want our team to focus on, and then we kind of like brief our art directors on those processes.
Yeah, so once creative research has done all of that, it comes to us as art directors, and we often get together as a group to brainstorm the bigger themes, thinking about kind of getting all the obvious ideas out of the way first, thinking about how we can take a look at what we know has sold and how we can push that a little bit further, and also just in the context of visually what's happening in the larger sort of visual landscape, how can we bring some of those kind of new treatments and put those on those images to keep them fresh and interesting for our customers. So once we've kind of brainstormed around a general kind of what we call a kernel of an idea, we sort of go away individually and develop that idea further, writing quite specific shot lists, gathering up some visual inspiration, creating mood boards, and obviously those pictures can come from anywhere, so it could be movie stills, it can be fashion imagery, it can be anything. And then once we sort of distill that down, we can kind of put together quite a sort of tight brief for our photographers. And the next step then is to obviously get the photographer in for a chat and go through the brief together. So, Alicia, I guess the best thing is that you just kind of talk us through our thinking, and we can discuss any points and further and pad out a little bit more.
So yeah, as I said, kind of like I wanted to pick something that's quite broad, so you can play around with it, but it's actually quite important for us as a company, so it's actually like a real case scenario. So I did decide to go with global connectedness, and kind of like, as I said before, it ties in with the overall topic we are working at the moment, which is technology. And it's something that our customers are kind of like constantly using. And if you think about it, you might have a lot of stocky images in your head, how people show that they're globally connected.
Yeah.
So that
some of these instances.
Yes.
So that's why I'm like,
yeah, so these are like, it's just to show.
So that's actually, those 3 images come from our top sellers.
Yeah.
So those images made a lot of money with our customers over the past 12 months. And as I said, we're constantly looking to find new and fresh and more interesting ways to actually communicate that concept. But it does have to be something has to be quite quick in communicating it, because a lot of online companies, for example, use those images on websites. So you have to get the point across quite quickly.
I think this is a good topic. My only concern is because of our style, both of our style, which are quite similar, and because the clients are quite corporate, our style is pretty kind of, how can I say this, identifiable and
it's a bit more abstract and
stylized, and these kind of pictures, I understand they sell a lot, but
yeah,
we are the total kind of opposite of that.
Yeah, but that's the whole point.
Okay.
Yeah, like briefing you for something that's has quite stocky appeal, to get something new out of it.
Okay,
to
so that's the
communicate
goal.
that concept, but in a more creative and more interesting way.
Okay. Communication, is it in the literal term, like between people on phones, or is it communication broad?
Could be communication between people, could be communication between machines, could be mediated communication where you use technology to talk to each other.
Phones, the web.
Yeah.
All that sort of thing.
Yeah, face to face,
Yeah.
texting, anything.
Yeah.
And what about freedom? This is kind of...
Freedom is something that actually a lot of technology companies still use in their advertising. The freedom of being online but being in nature at the same time, or kind of like being on a mountaintop but still
Being surfing, you mean?
yeah.
On a camping holiday.
Yeah. checking your emails whilst you're on your family holiday.
That is still how you
switching off from work.
It just reminds me of a trip that I had on West Coast where I did have a holiday. I was always on the phone.
Yeah,
That's the danger, isn't it?
That's the downside, isn't it?
But yeah,
There's a
kind of like,
negative
yeah.
flip side, of course, yeah.
If you think about the big companies that actually sell web services or kind of like, that's still how they sell their services.
So freedom is being on your phone all the time on holiday.
Yeah.
Basically.
So
freedom to
Being
be.
tied to
that
your office.
but the positive thing of that was obviously that the idea of kind of this uninterrupted kind of access to things, where if you are going about your daily life, then and you can still access services that are important for you without it really kind of disrupting what you're doing. I think that's kind of the positive.
Convenience, I guess, as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
But touching on this, are the pictures supposed to be all positive or some can be negative? Because some clients have concept that want to be like in a negative picture, do you know what I mean? Like new technology is better than old technology, portrayed in a negative way. So how are you guys viewing this, positive, negative in the pictures?
We do have negative interpretations. It would most likely be used in an editorial context rather than by a client actually using it to advertise their services. I think that kind of like in advertising marketing, you very much stick to positive concepts, but kind of like when we do shoots, we do those images too that kind of like talk about problems or issues, and those are being used by editorial clients.
So there's room for that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
Okay, so go future.
Yes, the future.
The future.
We're always looking for the new.
Yeah.
I think with technology, the thing is kind of like what I personally find quite interesting is that we sell things as new technology all the time. If you think about it, I don't know, the fax machine was sold as new technology, but it's old technology now. So it's kind of like, for me, it's more like something that's continuing, but it's still
like we'll
all
never
the
get
time
that, will we?
we're trying to get to the new thing.
Yeah.
And it's something that's very much connected to technology.
Yeah, and it's an interesting
So
concept,
there
the
could be
new
something
thing.
around time and yeah, you know, the time that
History.
kind of history and the kind of the turnover of
Like a constantly refreshing cycle, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Thinking about that, I've spoken to that before. These are keywords, and I kind of use a lot of type in my stuff and English words. Is that a problem?
Not at all.
No. So type can be used within the image.
absolutely, especially if they're like conceptual terms and more kind of tangential, so
Yeah.
not too literal. I think they can work really well.
Because like one of the images I've done in the past was just like, it's just like paper overflowing like that, and it's getting the word youth. But the concept is a fountain of youth.
Yeah.
But is just projects the word youth out in the air, you know. So it's stuff like that you know.
That's perfect.
Okay, global communication, that's okay. Identity, what is that?
Okay, so identity is again something that's quite interesting when you look at technology. It's kind of like how you almost, I don't know, invent your online identity, or kind of like how your offline and online identity are the same or are different, or also how you use technologies to make who you are. Like, I don't know, if you think about stuff like Pinterest boards, for example, people are kind of like showing the world who they are by picking images.
Or who
being
they aspire to
curated.
be, you know,
Yeah.
it could be different to the reality of who they are.
Yeah.
I kind of really like that concept about offline and online identity, which is almost like if you look at Mr. Potato Head, you know, which can be totally like
Changed.
and everything. Do you know what I mean? But it's exactly because you create whoever you want to be. So, is the concept of time in general something that sells a lot? Just in some.
I think maybe not necessarily in an obvious way, but I think all of these concepts, I mean, especially innovation, all of those things have got time connected to them, haven't they? So this idea of time passing and the speed, and I think speed certainly kind of connects into time, like delivering something quickly or accessing services quickly. It's all about speed and ease, isn't it? And
it's good that we talked about that. It brings ideas in my head.